so it was nice.
I hear you.
So it was nice.
I hear you.
Okay, sir, we are now live on YouTube. You can go ahead.
Okay, it's 7 o'clock, so we'll call the meeting to order. Good evening, everyone.
Your worship.
Evening, Your Worship.
Ask for the calling of the roll, please.
Mayor Edie,
Present.
Reeve Imon,
Present.
Councillor Evans,
Present.
Councillor Poulos,
Present.
Councillor Hines,
Present.
Councillor Jameson.
Oh,
We lost Councillor Jameson. Councillor Sidney
Present.
and Reeve Imon, present. Everyone's present. We just lost Councillor Jameson. I'm sure she'll be back shortly, sir.
Okay. Any declaration of pecuniary interest in the general nature thereof? Okay, hearing none. Okay. Right at it. This is a long one. Whereas in Renfrew, we are fortunate to have a variety of recreation and park systems providing countless recreation opportunities for residents. And whereas in recreational participation builds family unity and social capital, strengthens volunteer and community development, enhances social interaction, creates community pride and vitality, and promotes sensitivity and understanding to culture diversity. And whereas the benefits provided by recreation programs, services, and parks and open space reduce healthcare and social service costs, serve to boost the economy, economic renewal, and sustainability, enhance property values, attract new business, increase tourism, and curb employees' absenteeism. And therefore, it be resolved that the town of Renfrew has hereby proclaimed that June has been designated as Recreation and Parks Month, which will annually recognize and celebrate the benefits derived year-round from quality public and private recreation and parks resources at the local, regional, and provincial levels. Therefore, Renfrew, in recognition of the benefits and values of recreation and parks, does hereby designate the month of June as Recreation and Parks Month. Okay, and mover for that, please. Councillor Hines, second by Councillor Sidney. Any questions or comments on this? Okay, hearing none. All in favor? Carried. The planner with his report dated May the 20th concerning the development agreement consent condition with 674 Riding Street South be received. Mover, please. Councillor Hines, second by Reeve Amo. Turn it over to Planner Withers to give us a report.
Thank you, Mayor Edie, members of council. This is a development agreement for a consent application that was approved earlier this year. It was at 674 Raglan Street South, so it's on the other side of Confusion Corner from the downtown. Quite a large lot, and a single lot was severed from it. The original lot's 1.13 acres in area, so quite a large lot for in town. As a condition of the severance, there were standard conditions, and there was an additional condition that was placed on it for a development agreement. The purpose of the development agreement is twofold. Firstly, to ensure that the payment of all costs associated with the development of the lot, mainly in regards to servicing the property, providing independent services to the new lot, and connection to the main to ensure that current and future owners. If the lot is sold, we understand that those are their costs to bear. And secondly, to establish a building envelope for this dwelling that's a little bit further set back from the road than is provided for in the zoning bylaw. So the zoning bylaw only requires a 6-meter front yard setback, which is a little under 20 feet. Given that this is an older part of town and the houses are generally set a bit further back, we're going to use the development agreement in this case as well to require that the dwelling, the building permit for the future dwelling includes a setback that's consistent with generally the at least the dwelling that's currently closest to the road. And so in the development agreement, I believe I specify the property with that dwelling. It's escaping me here. I'm just looking at the agreement. 646 Raglan Street South. So it's 2 doors down, heading to the north, and it's probably the closest house to the road on that side of the street on that block, not including the corner lots. And so we'll be using that as the basis for the front yard setback. So I think those are my comments. It's a pretty straightforward agreement. It'll be executed by the town and by the property owner. Thank you.
Any questions, Planner Withers, on this? Okay, hearing none. All in favor? Carried. The bylaw 39-2021, being a bylaw to authorize the mayor and clerk to execute a development agreement with Cheryl McKenzie and Edward Locke in relation to the development of the property located at 674 Raglan Street South, roll number 4748-000-010046. Be read the first time and deemed to have been read a second time. Mover, please. Councillor Hines, second by Revimo. Again, any questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor? Carried. The bylaw 39-2021 be the bylaw to authorize the mayor and clerk to execute a development agreement with Cheryl McKenzie and Edward Locke in relation to the development of the property located 674 Raglan Street South, roll number 4748-000-010046. Be read a third time and be passed. Mover, please. Councillor Hines, second by Councillor Sidney. Again, any last questions or comments? Hearing none. All in favor? Carried. That the minutes of the Development and Works Committee meeting held May the 11th, 2021 be received. Mover, please. Councillor Coulis, seconded by Councillor Hines. Turn it over to Councillor Coulis for the report. You're on mute, Councillor Coulis.
Yeah, there we go. Thanks. Sorry about that. This is our meeting of May 11th. Again, we'll held electronically. Not a long meeting, but we did cover some of the ongoing construction in town, of course, and as well as some new concerns that came to our committee level. There was a request from Horton, a combination of Horton and Admaston Township, to participate in the rehabilitation of a portion of McBride Road in the area of Codyville, because it does service some homes that are actually in the town of Renfrew. We did discuss that with the two townships and have agreed to not participate at this point. There are numerous roads in the area that do border on the townships that we have a common agreement amongst these townships that in some cases we participate, in some we don't. And in this case, we're not going to get involved. Building permit report was also given, of course, and the department's close to reaching the targeted budget for 2021 already. This was in April, of course. And a report regarding the reserve fund, which was a concern at our last meeting. The allocation will come forward at our June meeting, and we will discuss that more fully. The water tower, or standpipe as it's known, is currently empty and repairs are underway. Did have an opportunity, myself and Councillor Sydney, to tour that standpipe inside, and it was an experience for sure. Stewart Street is of course fully under construction, and we did have some delays. We did have a sewer trunk update. There was a root ball, which is basically, as it sounds, it's a ball of roots that had got into the sanitary trunk line and blocked some of the water flow. So we did clear that out after a certain amount of time and got things back to working again. We've had our fair share of little instances. It's normal for these sort of construction projects to have some of these unexpected delays. Raglan Street South will start in June, next week, actually. You may have noticed there's some markings already down along that street for gas and whatever, lines and hydro and so on. Swinging Bridge maintenance, there's an update on that coming to the next meeting. O'Brien Road connecting link, we're going to discuss again tonight, as well as a Swinging Bridge later. We're having some trouble with our downtown sweeper, our street sweeper. It's been giving us a fair amount of trouble and costing us some unexpected repair costs that are a little concerning. We've utilized a rental unit temporarily to try and get us through this time of year when we like to get the streets clean so we can mark them. There are some places like on Opiongo Street that the parking spots are completely gone, wore off from the original marking. So there's things like that need to be replaced. We've had some adjustments in our workforce at the Public Works. General foreman and assistant foreman positions have now been filled. There's been some vacancies there created by retirements and so on. And shortly there will be internal, external recruitment process posted. That's about the extent of the things to note from that meeting. Can't hear you, Don. There you are.
Just turning back on.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any questions or comments on the consent, Councillor Hines?
Just a couple of quick questions. Just in regard to 7.2, the request from Horton Township and Admaston Bromley about McBride Road. I'm just wondering if Development and Works do any type of snow plowing or maintenance at all on that road for the residents that I think there's 2 residents that do live there, and I'm just a little disappointed that we couldn't come together and help them like we did with Riverview Drive, but I honestly trust the judgment of the committee and the discussion that that went on. So I just like to know if we do any of that type of thing on that road for the people that live on there that pay taxes out there. So
well, to clarify it a bit, we use the comparison of Graham Avenue, which runs on the border of Horton and town, and we plow and take up recycling and garbage on that street for both residents of Horton and Renfrew, as they do for residents of Admaston, Horton on McBride Road.
okay.
So that was a topic of discussion. I personally had a telephone conversation with the mayor of Horton, after our decision, and he was very, very good with it. It's a case where if you don't ask, you don't get, and we don't ask for any assistance on Graham Avenue. And
So it's
we
a bit
do-
of give and take, which is
Oh,
fun.
sure.
I trust the discussion of the committee. I
Sure.
mean, it's summarized in the notes here, but just that detail is important. The other question I had, I just have to find it here. Just a second, sorry.
Mary Dee, when Councillor Hines is done asking her question, Director Aslam would like to speak.
I've seen that, there.
Oh, just in regard to the sweeper, how old is that sweeper? Like, are we talking a replacement soon that we might just continue to rent?
We
Set up-
may have to discuss that very seriously shortly. It was a machine that was bought in, I believe the year was 2015, the first year
wow.
of the last session of council, but it was not new. It was a
Okay.
pre-owned or pre-used one, and it was quite a bit less money than a brand new one at the time, and we decided in our infinite wisdom at the time that it was a good deal, and we have very often rethought that decision and have sort of regretted it, obviously. I do remember as many years ago, there was a question of a sweeper that was done, and we were heading into the spring of the year, and I do remember the town hiring a firm from Ottawa. I believe it was John's Sweeping, and they came on the Easter weekend of that year, and I'm thinking maybe 15, 18 years ago, and they swept the whole town twice over that weekend. And I thought that was an awful good idea, but the council at the time decided to spend the $180,000 to buy a new unit. And now we're on the second one since then. And I guess that's a discussion that's for a very near future.
So that might be one of the options coming forward when we see that. Although the previous council to this one certainly put in place some really good reserves for equipment replacement. And so we're not kind of stuck out there in the wind or in the dust, I might say here. Anyway, it has given us 5 years, and it works pretty hard. So I look forward to that coming forward. So that's it. That's all I had to ask. Thank you.
Director Aslan, you had comments.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Edie. I just wanted to mention on the road issue with McBride Road, the department we always go back to the assessment mapping and identify who actually is registered owners of a particular right of way. So in this case, McBride Road is the registered owner, or McBride Road is owned by Admiston and Horton. They share that ownership of the road. So thereby that determines the jurisdiction. So consequently, when we go to a road like Graham Road is clearly within the boundaries of Renfrew, and Horton does not have any jurisdiction over the road. So we kind of rely on the actual ownership of the road to determine who's responsible for the maintenance and who's liable for accidents that may occur on that road or any other issues. So there is a bit of balancing, as far as like garbage collection and services. If we're not currently, collecting garbage on the road, and Horton does that on our behalf, and we sort of trade off the homes on Graham, the same thing. So it sort of balances out. And, if we had joint ownership of the road with a different municipality, then we would certainly have much more, commitment to a shared maintenance agreement for those types of roads. So I just wanted to add that.
Okay, that's great explanation, and thank you for that.
Any further questions? Okay, hearing none. Oh, sorry, Revimo.
I'm sorry, Your Worship. Just wondering, has there been any consideration? I know boundary road agreements are normally for streets and roads that are jointly owned or they dip back and forth across the lines between municipalities. But given that there is an exchange of services, has there been any consideration to formulating a boundary road agreement? Because as time passes, institutional memory gets lost, and sometimes that ends up in dispute with our neighbors. So has there been any consideration to some kind of an MOU or a boundary road agreement so that everybody's on the same page if there comes time for some kind of refreshment of that road surface or drainage or anything like that?
Director Asplin, I guess I'll turn to you.
Yes, in our communications with the different municipalities, we did offer to sit down with them and discuss the various roads that are boundaries between our municipalities to determine if we left that open to them, that we could sit down and discuss all of the boundary roads, and that they haven't taken us up on the offer at this point, but I believe that Mayor Bennett had called Councillor Koulis to have a bit of a discussion on the McBride Road situation. But they, Admiston and Horton would have a boundary road agreement for McBride Road and several other roads that they share boundaries on. So I guess the offer is open.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Okay, hearing none, all in favor? Carried. The minutes from the Waste Management Committee meeting held May the 3rd, 2021 be received. Mover, please. Revimo, seconded by Councillor Evans. Turn over to Revimo for the report.
Thank you, Your Worship. On May the 3rd, the committee met via Zoom at 1 o'clock, and I'll take you down through to item number 8.1 landfill report. Through the joint meetings of the LEG group, we found a contractor that was being used by Whitewater and was shared with our staff, and they moved in and assisted us in removing the refrigerant from appliances. So that was a valuable service to have. I'll move you to 8.11 household hazardous waste. It started on Saturday the 8th. Staff were trained, and it's been fairly busy since then. I don't have a volume, but I'll have a volume for our next meeting. 8.2, talk about the recycling. We've talked about the collection, and there's a outbound shipment of residual composition between August and January is approximately 14%. So we are expecting some funding to come from that. From that, you'll see a motion and a recommendation that that money be placed in a reserve fund for reinvestment into future improvements towards the town's recycling program. We thought we want to reinvest. That may be new recycling products, that may be promotional literature, but we'd like to build up a little bit of reserve to be able to further enhance recycling as we move forward in the future. And going right down through to 9.3, we just reaffirmed our 2021 priorities. You'll recognize them. They were in the in our year-end report that we always present to you, telling you what we did last year and what we intend to do next year. So I don't think they're unfamiliar. And then 9.4, we're reviewing the waste management bylaw, and we've had a lot of information come in. We've got, I think, on our second draft for sure. And so we wanted to get the proof of residency issue straightened out. And we're going to be sending out a public opinion survey. And in your package, you'll also see some minutes from the LEG group. And if you bear with me, I'll just take a real quick run through those. They met on March 26th. I think that was their first time. And so I'll just take you through them very quickly to the things that look relevant to us. On page 2, it talks about Whitewater, and it talks about additional household hazardous waste. So there was some interest in extending the season, and recycling, waste monitoring and reporting, a possible RFP to go together as a group to understand what kind of waste is being generated in the group, and the timeline of 2023 was mentioned. And the refrigerant at $24 to $25 per unit, which we subsequently took them up on. And then I'll take you to the April 22nd meeting. And some joint training was mentioned. Greater Madawaska, and so people were going to join in on that. Flip over to the next page. Again, further discussion on the household hazardous waste. And one of our concerns that our staff very correctly noted was that we can only hold household hazardous waste for up to 90 days. And you'll see they're starting to focus their recommendation about adding on to April as opposed to starting in May, and maybe going into November as opposed to closing in August. So I think we'll see a recommendation coming through committee in the next little while on household hazardous waste. And then Arnprior is leading on the RFP/grant application to FCM or CIF for a waste composition study. And new business, a joint grinding tender. We've been asking about this for a few years, and there is going to be some work done on that. We think there might be some savings there for all of the 7 participant municipalities. The next page, mattresses, just we're the only ones that are grinding them at this point. Scales, there was some talk about scales and getting the volumes, and then also Whitewater was looking for information on compaction and revenue streams and volume. So that'll be nice to have from other folks as well, to see what kind of volumes being generated annually. Reuse centers, again, just a brief conversation on that. So with that, your worship, that's submitted on behalf of myself, committee, Edie and Evans.
Thank you. Okay, any questions? Okay, hearing none. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Okay, the Ontario Clean Water Agency, Aqua 2020 year-end review for the town of Renfrew be received. A mover, please. Councillor Hines, seconded by Councillor Evans. Maybe ask Director Aslan to say a few words on this.
Sure, thank you, Mayor Edie and Council. The Ontario Clean Water Agency, they've begun to prepare these performance reports to their clients. And as they say in the first page here, the Ontario Clean Water Agency has been operating our water treatment plant for well over 28 years. Before the creation of Aqua, the water plant was run by the Ministry of Environment under the Ontario Water Resources Commission. So they have a very long history at the water plant. Now the sewage plant, they took over operations in the year 2000. So it's already been 21 years of operation at the plants. So this performance report kind of gives you just a bit of a report card on the various issues related to compliance, health and safety, asset protection. There's a bit of a summary of capital projects that have been done at the 2 plants over the course of the last year, and just sort of summarizes the general activities. So we do receive inspection reports from the ministry, and all kinds of reporting that does flow through council. This is more of a high-level report for council's purposes, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have on this performance report.
Any questions, Council? Councillor Hines.
Just a comment. I appreciate this from Aqua. I think it's a great summary of our 2 systems that they operate, and I really appreciate this coming forward to council. Thank you.
Okay, anything else? Revimo.
I'm just struggling just a little bit. When I look at asset protection, 905 preventative. Can you just give me a definition of what that means, please?
Yeah, so they do maintenance activities at the plants, and they have a maintenance management system. So they're saying that 905 of their activities have been preventative maintenance in nature, and there's been 12 corrective actions and 39 capital projects that have been undertaken. So just from their work order system, they classify the maintenance as preventative maintenance or reactive or corrective actions.
Thank you. And if I might, please, thank you. And so that's not ministry directed. That's just good maintenance and paying attention to our infrastructure. Yeah,
that's correct. We do operate under cost plus contracts for our water plant and wastewater plant. So excuse me, with the type of contracts, there's no justification or no initiative for them to try to defer any kind of maintenance as they get paid for all of the maintenance that they do. So our directive to them is to do preventative maintenance as required by the manufacturers of the equipment, and to try to prevent breakdowns. Responding to an emergency such as the blower fire, for instance, is much more expensive than trying to do preventative maintenance on a piece of equipment. So,
Thank you very much.
Anything else? Okay, hearing none, all in favor? Carried. Okay, the Director Asson's report dated May the 19th, 2021, concerning the MTO Connecting Link Funding Program contribution agreement we received. Mover, please. Councillor Sidney, second by Councillor Evans. I'll turn over to Director Aston again for the report.
So by now, the council would be very familiar with the contribution agreements. We have been successful in obtaining funding from the MTO for intake number 6 of Highway 60 to reconstruct O'Brien Road from Gillen to Mask. The province does provide $3 million maximum funding towards eligible costs. So in this particular case, the town has a responsibility for $632,000 of a $3.6 million project. So the contribution agreement sets out the reporting requirements, and as well sets out some of the milestone payments that we would receive once the contribution agreement is signed. So this is a formal document that we sign each time we enter into a Connecting Link funding agreement.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments on this? Okay, hearing none. All in favor? Carried. Okay. The bylaw 37/2021, being a bylaw to enter into a contribution agreement with Her Majesty the Queen and the Right of Ontario, as represented by the Minister of Transportation for funding under the Connecting Links program with respect to O'Brien Road, Highway 60, reconstruction from Gillen Road to Mask Road, be read a first time and deemed to have been read a second time. Over, please. Councillor Evans, seconded by Reeve Emo. Okay, any questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor? Carried. The bylaw 37/2021 be the bylaw to enter into a contribution agreement with Her Majesty the Queen of the Right of Ontario, as represented by the Minister of Transportation, for funding under the Connecting Link program with respect to O'Brien Road, Highway 60, reconstruction from Gillen Road to Mask Road, be read a third time and be passed. Move or please. Okay, Councillor Sidney, second by Councillor Cooless. Again, any questions or comments? Okay, hearing none. I'd just like to say congratulations to Public Works staff putting this together for, it's been a number of times now. It'll be interesting to know the total amount of money that Connecting Link has given us over the years, and maybe for another day, but anyways, congratulations. All in favor? Carried. Okay. The Director Asson's report dated May the 19th, 2021, concerning the award of the design of the Swinging Bridge project be received. Mover, please. Councillor Hines, second by Reeve Emo. Turn it over to Director Asson again for his report.
Okay, thank you very much, Mayor Eady and Council. This project, the town made a submission for grant funding from the federal and provincial government under the COVID-19 Resilience Infrastructure Fund. And one of the eligible criteria or the categories for the asset funding was for footpaths. And we have been doing quite a bit of work on our swinging bridge over the years past, and there's still some more work to do. So staff and council supported an application for the rehabilitation of the swinging bridge to the tune of $183,000 $673, and 80% of that would come from the federal government. 20% would come from the provincial government. So it's a project that is fully funded by the federal and provincial governments. So part of the criteria is that this work begin in June and be completed in December of 2021, which is very, very almost impossible timelines. So staff have worked with WSP to prepare the funding application and to review the scope of works that is required, and that, you know, determining what we can do for $183,000 that would extend the life for 20 years of the main structure of the bridge. And the swinging bridge itself is a very, very unique structure. There's only a few types of that bridge in Canada. And WSP has a lot of experience with our particular bridge in that they've been doing the OSAM inspections every 2 years on the bridge and the interim work. So they're very familiar with the structure. They do have base drawings and a good head start on delivering a design on a fast track basis. So with that in mind, we're bringing a report forward to council to get WSP to complete the design work for this COVID resilience grant. And once the design is complete, then we would solicit pricing through quotations of eligible contractors. And since we are going to a single source for the design, we do require waiving the purchasing and tendering policy. And in this case, with the specialty WSP has with our swinging bridge in particular, and their knowledge of the project, I have no problems identifying them as the way to proceed as far as the design. You'll see the design is broken down in the proposal under Part A and Part B. So Part A is a preliminary design of $4,980. A detailed design is $16,970. And then once the design is complete, we go into the construction phase. And Part C and D is to allow provisions in the engineering for the project inspections that are necessary. So I guess I'd be prepared to answer any questions you have.
Any questions, council? Review.
Not disputing the need nor the idea that we need to get someone who's familiar with it. Is this common though, that the engineering would be about a quarter of the job, you know, the grant? Is it because it's a specialized structure? Is it because it's over water? Just a little clarity on that. That seems a tad high, not disputing the need for them with their knowledge, but I'm just curious if that's what we can expect, and has that been the practice in the past as well?
Yes, since it is quite a specialized structure, you know, if it's a large job, you have more standard proportions, but on a small job, you still have the mobilization, you still have to produce the base information, and the engineering costs tend to be higher as a percentage for a very small job. So I've reviewed those and can't really fault, you know, you don't get a whole lot of design work for the $20-some thousand that they've identified in there, considering that the work would entail, you know, designing and replacing the main support piers for the bridge and finding an anchoring system. So it is very much because it is a specialized structure. It's not a common construction, so it's almost reviewing design from first principles. So the cost is a little bit higher than normal.
And if I might, Your Worship, a supplementary. And with that, at some point, can we get an overall report about whether we're 2/5 or 3/5 or 4/5 of the way to getting to a point where we're not going to spend money over an extended period of time? Like, when are we done? And I don't mean that's not, I know there's always going to be maintenance and there'll always be something crop up, but just so we have a long range view, because I remember I thought we put metal ball caps on the posts so the woodpeckers wouldn't get it. And I think we tightened nuts and bolts a while back too. So I'm just curious where we are in the overall repair / replacement, or just if we can get a bigger picture, that's all. And again, not a criticism, just trying to get a view of it.
Sure. Well, I guess if the woodpeckers certainly provide some element of unpredictability to the situation. But when we do bring back the report for award of any construction services, we'll detail that for you. We'll have a better idea at that point.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else? Hearing nothing, all in favor? Carried. Okay, the bylaw 38-2021. Being a bylaw to authorize the mayor and clerk to execute an agreement with WSP Consulting Engineers for the design and construction management of the rehabilitation of the swinging bridge be read a first time and deemed to have been read a second time. Over, please. Councillor Sidney, second by Councillor Hines. Okay, any questions or comments on this? Hearing none, all in favor? Carried. Okay, the bylaw 38-2021 being a bylaw to authorize the mayor and clerk to execute an agreement with WSP Consulting Engineers for the design and construction management of rehabilitation of the swinging bridge be read a third time and be passed. I move her, please. Councillor Evans, second by Councillor Koulis. Okay, and last chance, any comments? Hearing none, all in favor? Carried. Okay, that the minutes from the diversity ad hoc committee meeting held May the 19th, 21 be received. Move her, please. Councillor Sidney, seconded by Councillor Revimo. Turn over to Councillor Sidney for the report.
Thank you very much. So this meeting was held electronically on May 19th. It was a very informative, great discussion meeting. Some of the things we talked about is staff training, and Revimo expressed that his knowledge of AIM and Romo are doing information training and stuff like that. So he's going to keep an eye on that and keep us apprised of that. We've also reached out to the OPP and the Police Services Board. We're looking for an actual member of the OPP to sit on the committee. We're just waiting to hear back what person has been selected. And then we did give an invite for the chair of the Police Services Board to attend the meeting, just so you can get an understanding of what's going on and what the committee is all about. The unfortunate part is their meeting is the same time our meeting. So I think there was a little bit of from my understanding, that's what the detachment commander had expressed. We are compiling a resource list of things to read, literatures, trainings, all of that stuff. The committee's going to do it online and basically keep up to date anything that we see or anything that's important to be added to this, almost like a resource library. So that's just in the development at this point. And under new business, there is a motion coming to council. So I don't know if, so Jennifer, do I talk about this? Do we do the motion? How do I do this part?
You can talk about it, Councillor Sidney, but we do have a motion from the minutes.
Okay, perfect. So through discussion with the committee, as well as discussions with the Renfrew Area Chamber of Commerce and the Renfrew BIA, the committee passed a motion at the committee level to request the town of Renfrew support a awareness campaign, which would include basically a diversity sticker. Unfortunately, I don't think we have it to show you what it looks like. So there's a new sticker out that is combining the rainbow flag with a number of other colors that are for uniformity and inclusion. So if what this sticker is it's basically 3/4 of a rainbow, and then there's arrows that are white, light pink, blue, brown, and black. So it includes the BIPOC community, the transgender community, and the LGBT community. So the idea is that these stickers are going to be placed in business windows of anybody, all the businesses that want to participate. And the motion also is asking the council to approve, have them put on municipal buildings and on municipal vehicles. The whole idea behind it is so that people can see that Renfrew is a inclusive and safe town and community, and that businesses are open for business for all. And the library is going to be involved. And down the road, we suspect that should council pass this motion, that there'll be a number of people in the community that are also going to want them for their own vehicles. So we're trying to figure out if we could do something through the library so that anybody that purchases it, any of the profits would then go into a type of fund to rewards either a charity or events for inclusion, or that's to be determined at a later date. So that's where we're at. So there is that motion. I was speaking with Treasurer Riley when the motion asked for the town to support up to a maximum of $1,000. He did say that we could do it out of the public relations budget line, council and mayor public PR. So that's where the money could come from. And if anybody has any questions, feel free.
Okay, well, go to the original motion first. Then we'll get to the next motion about diversity. So any questions on the original motion? Councillor Hines and then Councillor Evans.
Just a question and clarification, Councillor Sidney, through you, your worship, to Councillor Sidney, in regard to the OPP. Are you looking for a member, like a officer to sit on the board, like there may be public relations officer to sit on the board on your committee, excuse me, and just a little confusing in regard to the police services board that we hold our meetings at the same time. I was kind of reading this that you wanted to maybe have some kind of a joint meeting that at least we could share these minutes and what you're doing, and then move on from there, that the staff representative would then kind of report to the detachment commander and she would put that in her monthly report. Is that what you're kind of looking for?
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. We did reach out and ask about an OPP officer. They are off right at the moment, so we're not sure if the detachment commander is going to select another member or wait for that member to come back. So that's where the little holding pattern is on that. And as far as the police services board, it was just a very brief discussion at our very first meeting. I did reach out to the chair of the police services board. He did express interest in attending a meeting. So it's kind of up in the air at this point as to, is it a joint meeting with police services, the entire police services board and our diversity committee, or if it's just somebody from the police services board coming to sit in to see what this committee is about. This is only our second meeting, so we're still trying to.
Okay, so may I address that from these minutes at our next police services board meeting in June?
Sure. Yeah.
Because I think it would be good for the whole board to hear, you know, what you're doing. And then, as I said, make it very clear that there is an officer, if they could spare the community officer to attend those meetings and then report back. And of course that would report back to the detachment commander, and that would be reflected in the monthly report that we get from her.
Yeah.
Would that be all right?
That would be great. Absolutely.
Okay, will do.
Okay. Councillor Evans.
Good points. Thank you, Sandy, for that. Councillor Sidney, the stickers, is that also available in the city of Ottawa? Are there other cities or towns that are doing likewise with these decals?
To my knowledge,
on municipal vehicles.
To my knowledge, we would probably be one of the first. I know some emergency services have done it in the past. I don't know whether they're still doing it, but this is something that is a bit groundbreaking, and I think it's a bit moving Renfrew forward in a very positive direction. I don't mean like we're gonna put on stickers that are like half a door. We're talking about a sticker that is visible and highlights it, but it's something that I think is very valuable, very important, and a bit groundbreaking all at the same time. So, to my knowledge, I'm not aware. Peter may know if through the province he knows of more municipalities that have done this, but to my knowledge, I think we would be groundbreaking.
Revimo.
Yeah, we'd certainly be, for our size, one of the first. And the stickers are approximately 4 by 6 inches, sort of like a CAA sticker or something like that. You know, it's down in the bottom corner, but it's bright enough it catches your eye. It's you know, it's just to start the process of establishing a bit of an identity. And with regards to your comments on the OPP Police Services Board, when the massive lockdown was talked about and the possible arrests, and the OPP eventually, once they got it clarified through Aurelia, said, no, we're not going to, you know, the other municipal police forces went first about 6 weeks ago to say, no, we're not going to be enforcing this and arresting people willy-nilly on the street. And then the OPP clarified it through Aurelia in Toronto. And so members of this community were quite worried that they were going to be stopped on the street. There was worries about the carding that had gone on in larger urban centers. Was that spreading to our community? So we thought it was best to start sharing with the OPP and the Police Services Board some of the concerns from the community and start looking at partnerships. We looked at one of the things in committee, the discussion that we had was the successful cyber awareness campaigns that were funded by the police services and the two boards of education about 14 months ago. And so those were some of the things that that I think we're leaning towards, is to see what kind of common ground we can establish and lining up communication, and so that communication from the police and to the police uses consistent language. So just very quickly, those were as the chair said, those were the 5 or 6 things that we thought were important to start the dialogue and just reestablish trust with everybody.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
I think that would be great.
Just a follow up, if you don't mind. I have to admit that over the course of my being on council for 6.5 years, this committee is very, very passionate, very knowledgeable. It seems to be already in two meetings. It's a very great group of people that are really looking at not only just awareness, but change and moving forward and a positive progression. So it's actually an honor to be on this committee. So I appreciate that.
Okay, nothing else? Okay, all in favor? Terry.
Okay. Sir, I do have the sticker. Councillor Sidney just sent it to me. Can you guys see it? I just shared my screen so you can see what it looks like. Can you guys see it?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Oh, okay, so that's what the sticker looks like. So I'm going to stop share.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. The Renfrew Town Council approved the funding up to $1,000 for the Diversity Ad Hoc Committee to initiate a sticker flag project in conjunction with the Renfrew BIA and the Renfrew and Area Chamber of Commerce to offer sticker flags to be affixed to town buildings, retail and commercial storefront windows, and the town of Renfrew vehicles. And further, the Renfrew Town Council approved the Diversity Ad Hoc Committee to explore a partnership with community groups to offer these sticker flags for sale to the public, and that the funds generated be collected and donated to a community group which will educate, support, and promote diversity and inclusion. Need a mover, please? Councillor Hines, second by Councillor Jemison. Okay, any further comments?
Yes, Jennifer, can I have a recorded vote for this, please?
Yes, you can.
Thank you.
Okay, questions, Councillor Hines.
Yeah, I just want to say that thanks for sharing that sticker. It looks great. And when it comes to sticking them on municipal buildings, it'll be like on the door or something, right? It's not like on the building.
No, beyond the glass.
On the door.
Yeah. Okay. good job.
Similar to, you know, when businesses have their Chamber of Commerce sticker in their window.
Yeah, okay. That's what I
Like
was
that.
envisioning, but then I wasn't sure when you said that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, are you ready for the recorded vote?
If there's no more questions, yes,
Okay. Mayor Edie,
in favor.
Reeve Imon,
In favor.
Councillor Koulis. Councillor Koulis, you're muted.
Yes,
My,
I'm
my
in favor.
computer might be freezing. Councillor Koulis,
I'm in favor.
thank you. Councillor Evans,
Favor.
Councillor Hines,
In favor.
Councillor Jameson,
In favor.
Councillor Sydney,
Favor.
all recorded, sir.
Okay. Pass.
Carried.
Okay, thank you.
Your Worship- Your Worship, I think it should be, you know, if I might, it should be explained to our viewers. That was just simply to show that, you know, council was unanimous. There was no thought that there would be any dissent. You know, we recognize that staff and council are fully behind this initiative, and it was simply a matter of just showing the unanimous nature of council for this. Thank you.
That's good. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. Okay. The Councillor Hines and Councillor Evans report dated May the 25th concerning the OPP detachment board proposed process be received. And further, that the Council of the Corporation of Town of Renfrew hereby supports the Renfrew Detachment Board composition of 11 members as follows. 1 council representative from each municipality. 2 community appointees. 1 resident of either Arnprior, Greater Madawaska, or McNabb Braeside, and 1 resident either of Adamson, Bromley, Horton, Renfrew, or Whitewater region, and 2 provincial appointees. And further, that a copy of the resolution be forwarded to the Renfrew Detachment municipalities for inclusion in the submission to the province. Mover, please. Councillor Hines, second by Councillor Evans. Any questions or comments on this? Councillor Sydney.
Just clarification. So is it still going to be 2 representatives from Renfrew Council and then 1 from, I'm just, because it has the 2 and then the 1, and I was just confused. Is it going to be 1 representative from Renfrew?
That's what the motion said. 1 council member representative from each municipality.
So 1 either.
Well, there's 6 municipalities.
I have the
Your
report.
worship,
You guys would like to see it?
your worship.
I'm lost here. I gotta find everybody again.
Okay.
As soon as she puts up an attachment, I'm gone.
Yes, I put up the report just for clarification. Councillor Hines asked that I put it up as she was unable to print it.
Your worship, may I
Okay.
just speak to that?
Yes, please.
Okay, so I did ask the deputy clerk to put that up. I tried to print it and it's jammed on my printer. I probably need a screwdriver or something, a garbage can to put the printer in. But anyway, it's very frustrating. It's stuck in the printer. So I just wanted to be able to speak to it. It is 1 council representative from each of the municipalities. And this came forward that they want to join all of these municipalities into 1 board. Right now, we have a board that just represents Renfrew. So we have 2 members of council. We have an appointed community representative, and we have 2 provincial appointees. So this would be an 11-person board when you chalk out the numbers here. So it's 1 council representative from each of those municipalities that are in the group. And Whitewater has just looked at being in this group as opposed to being in the Upper Ottawa Valley, which is Pembroke area. It would be 2 community appointees, and 1 would be representing Arnprior, Greater Madawaska, McNabb, Braeside, and the other 1 would be representing Admaston, Bromley, Horton, Renfrew, and Whitewater. So right now, Jeff Scott was appointed by this council to represent the town of Renfrew as the board sits today. So we would have to go through that again with Admaston Bromley people, Horton, Renfrew, and Whitewater, have those applications come in and as a group appoint someone to represent the community. And the other two provincial appointees, of course, fall from the province. So basically the ministry is, whoops, lost it. That's okay. The ministry is looking at reconfiguring this, and that's where we came to. They asked if we cared to make a comment on it, and as a board we did. It's been very difficult with not being able to meet in person, but just we do a lot of emails back and forth. And anyway, this would just go forward as it will from other municipalities have made those motions. And we're very fortunate that we had the clerk who in their meeting of all of the clerks from these various municipalities was able to tell us that the other municipalities have done this very thing. And so we're, as a board, fine with moving that forward and hoping that this council, as the other councils, Arnprior, McNabb, Braeside, Horton, etc., have supported their of those motions on the floor at their council tables. Does that make sense, Tom?
Any other questions or comments? I do have a question. Go ahead, Revimo.
Thank you. When I look at page 3, it talks about First Nations. So has there been any consultation with either the Algonquins of Ontario and I don't necessarily mean Pikwakanagan, because I'm not sure this detachment services Pikwakanagan, but there are some First Nations communities that don't have landmass in our community.
Okay.
And so I'm wondering, it says right here about, it seems to be that allows municipalities and First Nations to determine the preferred composition of their detachment boards by submitting a proposal. So I'm presupposing there was some kind of consultation, and I hope
there was a consultation with all of the municipalities and the First Nations. So I would assume that they would be submitting whether they want to be bringing all of their First Nation areas together, or being on their own, or joining up with whatever is close by to them, such as Pikwakanagan, being part of, the area of Haggerty, Richards, Killaloe, whatever that area is up there. So they put this out to ask if we wish to make a comment as a board, how it operates. We're very fortunate right now, and if we really had a druther, we would say leave the board the way it is right now, because the town of Renfrew is very well represented, and we're able to take comments, from citizens and from council directly to the board, but that's not how they want it to be looking in the future. So it's like the leg group, they want things joined together more, so it's not so standalone little silos all over the place.
Okay. My question was, Whitewater region wants to join the board. Does the Renfrew detachment now service Whitewater, or I couldn't remember where they come out of?
Yes. And they have areas of Whitewater, I believe, that are serviced by the Upper Ottawa Valley, depending on where, that part of the municipality is. It's closer for the Upper Ottawa Valley to service it. And I don't, the clerk is not here tonight, but I would think that that's what came out of the clerk's meeting, because they asked to join this group because they feel a little detached, if you want to say, from the Upper Ottawa Valley. So they're very interested in being part of this group.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments on this? Revimo.
Now, my impression is we contribute financially. Is there any kind of financial formula presently? Is there any kind of financial formula going forward? Is it on a per capita basis, or is it a continued contribution as to what the level is today? Has there been any kind of discussion about that?
No, no. But I mean, it would be, we have a, right now as the town of Renfrew, we have a police services board budget that looks after the municipal representatives. So now of which we would have 2, and community promotions. It's a very skinny budget, as you know. And hopefully that with the other municipalities contributing, we would be less than we are now. And I'm just saying that off the top of my head. There's been nothing ironed out until they sort out exactly, they being the provincial government sorts out exactly how they want it to look. And then those municipalities, I would assume, would have to get together and say, and create a budget and portion it appropriately.
Okay. Anything else?
That answer it?
Yeah, thank you. No, these are the questions we've asked the minister and ministry staff now for about a year.
Well, that's good, because we'd like to know that too.
Yeah, and I think we're meeting with them again in June, June 10th, I think. Anyway, so I will bring that up again, and
Yeah.
it has been a concern for smaller rural municipalities that they're going to lose their access to the management and administration of the detachment and their ability to influence or at least provide information on areas of concern or troubled spots in their community.
Yeah.
And get some prompt response. So that has been highlighted time and time again. And as well as the composition question and the financing question in First Nations, and also timely, I think the last one was timely reappointment of provincial appointees. That's really lacking in rural Ontario. So I will take this with me the next time I meet. Thank you.
Councillor Hines.
So just 2 things there. Certainly, Revimo, it does give you something to take and say this is, and I can tell you that if you were to look at the resolutions that came from these other municipalities, it would be the same. Or if you speak with the clerk, he'll be able to access that because he was at that meeting with the other clerks. And in regard to what their municipalities were doing. And then, you know, it's certainly food for thought how the formula of a budget for that police services board and how much each municipality would pay would come out. And the other thing is that even though we've said this, that may have to be tweaked down the road. But I would think that with the representation on there, that each one of those communities are going to have a representation on there from their, at least one person from their council municipality, from their council, excuse me.
Okay.
Anyway, I mean, we've been asked to comment. We have, if we could say leave it as is, we would, but that's not how it's going to be. So we need to get on the train and, you know, do the best we can with it. And then when we put it in place, we may have to approach them and say, we need a community or another community person or whatever it might be, just to tweak it to make it work.
Okay, anything else? Okay, hearing nothing. All in favor? Carried, thank you. Okay, the minutes from the Renfrew Public Library Board meeting held April 20, 2021 be received. Mover, please. Councillor Evans, seconded by Councillor Hines. I'll turn it over to Councillor Evans for the report.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. This was another virtual meeting held April 20th. Again, wonderful attendance. I'm just going to touch on a few of the points of the 3-page minutes. Again, we were successful in receiving a Canadian summer grant for student, 270 hours worth. As well, our librarian has made a purchase of a bike trailer. This will be used out in the community with this summer promotion to promote library services. So more like a bookmobile. The library has been considered an essential essential for computers and internet service. So therefore, the government of Ontario has allowed the building and such to be open during the COVID period. Updates on the architecture. Librarian has some drawings done, but not quite prepared to share them publicly. The board is waiting to see some visions of them. I believe we saw it in our last meeting, but that we'll have to share with you in, I guess, a few more weeks. She's just now waiting for the mechanical and structural plans for that unveiling. As always, she does include a library activity report in great detail. And this, as well as the minutes, are available on the town's website. This is page 103 of this week's agenda. That'll be all. Thank you.
Any questions? Review more.
I note when I took a real quick look at this, the under library activity report, beginning to work on the 2020 charity tax return. Well, does the library have the ability to, and this is only a question, I wasn't aware of this, do they have the ability to generate charity receipts? Are they a charitable organization?
That's a great question, Peter, and one that I'll bring to the library and find out for you.
Thank you.
I do believe they do.
Okay, thank you.
I'll get that answer back to you, Peter, from the librarian.
Thank you.
This is a good question. Any other questions?
Mayor Eady,
Yes.
Treasurer O'Reilly would like to speak.
Yes, Treasurer Riley.
Save the trip back to the next library meeting. Yes, the public library is authorized to issue donation receipts.
Review more.
Did not know that.
And not to appear to be scheming, but can they enter into a relationship with somebody else and issue the tax receipts if it's collected and they have a bylaw to transfer the funds?
Treasurer Riley, do you have that answer?
Sure, I understand the question.
I'm just wondering if the municipalities have the ability to enter into a bylaw with a group and collect funds on their behalf and issue the tax receipt. And I'm just wondering if the library has that ability as well.
Tax receipts on behalf of another organization?
Yes. If you enter.
And what, maintain a percentage of the collected fees?
No, do it out of the goodness of their heart.
I don't think you'd ever want to ask me that opinion.
Okay.
It is not permissible.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none. All in favor? Carried. Okay. That the Renfrew Library Activity Report for April, May 2021 be received. Mover, please. Councillor Evans, second by Councillor Hines. And Councillor Evans, do you want to say anything on this, or is it's all?
Again, as mentioned, the library report is a little more in depth. It is available to the public on the town's website. It's on page 103 of this week's agenda.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments on the report? Hearing none.
Nice act approved.
Okay, all in favor? Carried. Okay, is there any new or unfinished business? Councillor Hines.
Just very quickly, Your Worship, I believe the Leafs are playing. I think I heard that. Anyway, having said that, just wanted to advise that you will see on the website that the fire meeting has changed for May. Unfortunately, there were some conflicts on the meeting of the 18th, and again today. The people that sit on the committee are busy folks. anyway, so we've changed that meeting to June the 2nd. And so if anybody was interested in where the May meeting went, it's gone to June the 2nd. So we did just have a couple of things to address, but nothing earth-shattering urgent. And I also want to advise council that Andrew Dick of RC Fireworks did send an email to everyone. And I have spoke to Andrew in regard to the fireworks bylaw and some clarification on some of the points that he made in his email to council. And he's all fine with that. We have him coming to our meeting on June 2nd, also just to make sure that you know, he understands what he can do. He can sell his fireworks online and have his business going, etc. And so we're just going to clear that bit of miscommunication up. And so I just wanted to advise council that all is good in that field. And we spoke with Andrew today. I spoke to him today, and his sales over the weekend were great. And he said that he's keeping track of how many he sells to Renfrew people and how many he sells to other municipalities. And he is taking that opportunity to indeed tell people that they have to look at the municipality that they're going to set the fireworks off in their bylaws. So all is really good with that. And I just really wanted to bring council up to date just briefly in regard to the caboose and where it's going. Lots of articles and information in the paper, but just wanted to first of all say thank you to council for again allowing me the time to get that report to you and the information to you in July. We're working very hard, and every day I get more people jumping on the train, so to speak. And I just want to assure you that the roof has not fallen in on the caboose. We were out there and looked at it, and actually the mayor also came out and looked at it, and it is a small hole that let some water in that has been patched some time ago. And yeah, that it needs to needs a new tile in there in the ceiling. Anyway, having said that, I just didn't want people to think that it's fallen in and you know, maybe that just went a little more. There was a piece of tile that definitely fell in. So just wanted to clarify that and let you know that we're very fortunate to have a new member on the committee. He worked with CP, and he was stationed at the head office in Calgary, and he's helping us with some information there, and there may be some opportunity for grants and such. So lots of people coming forward. I can tell you today we had the engineer up to test the paint to see if there is lead in it or not. I spoke to the mayor about this, and at this point, myself and a few other members of the committee are looking after that cost, and we'll see where that is in the future. But we certainly are looking forward to bringing this to the July 13th council meeting for you to have that information further to the report you already saw.
Okay.
So thank you.
Any other new or unfinished business from council members? Anything from department heads? Okay. I did note on tonight's this afternoon's news that on Victoria Day there was the Ottawa Fire Department was called out to 8 different fires or different incidents caused by fireworks. So just know that bylaws are very important when it comes to that. Okay. No other new or unfinished business. Then next motion is to the Renfrew Town Council convene in closed session for the following matters pursuant to Section 239 Municipal Act 2001. Pursuant to Section 239 2B of the Municipal Act 2001, personal matters about an identical individual, including municipal or local board employees, more specifically as relates to municipal structure review. I need the mover, please. Councillor Evans, second by Councillor Sedney. All in favor? So we are now in closed session.
Sir, I'm just going to stop live stream first.
Just want to ask you to do that, please.
Okay.